them and I try to buy another, I mean, if I buy one of each and I try to buy another, it'll say that, it'll give you an error message saying you already have the weapon item. So I did this because I want to add diversity. I don't want people just to get like 6 weapon and armor items and that's it. And for the other 9 items, I try to have a variety of item types. Each race should have 3 what I call consumable items, and consumable items are basically one use only. Each race also has 3 passive items, and each race also has 3 spell items. And consumable items are really, really useful because it allows players to spend minerals if they're maxed out on like the other items. For example, you can buy like infinite bunkers if you have enough cash. So it just allows the option of players to spend money if they have nothing else to spend it on. As spell items are also really useful because in some cases you might have a hero that has a lot of energy but doesn't have that many spells. So spell items allow you to spend energy if you don't have enough spells. And I really recommend getting spell items if you have, for example, the Overlord hero or the Drone hero, because these 2 heroes are both caster heroes with a lot of energy, but they don't have that many spells, so it might be difficult to spend all their energy. So this just allows the option to get additional spells. Alright, so for the for the Terrans, I'll just quickly go over the items. They have a med pack item, and that just allows you to store health and store life, and it only works for infantry units, so it won't work for like the siege tank or the Thor hero. I also made sure that each race has a detection item, and the thing is, some heroes do have the ability to detect, like the siege tank has standard sweep, and the SCV hero has missile turrets, but some do not. So how does a hero that does not have the ability to detect fight against a hero like the DT hero, which can become invisible? Well, in that case, you should just buy some detection items. So the Terran detection item is a sensor tower, and this allows you to create a sensor tower. And the sensor tower does detect, but also has the ability to create a radar, so you can see what the enemy is doing in the fog of war. And the third consumable item that the Terrans have is a bunker. And the thing about this bunker is it's a shareable bunker. So if you create a bunker, then you can use it and your allies can use it. So that's pretty cool. And you can also salvage bunkers. If you have a bunker in the middle of the map in a useless location, just salvage it and you get your money back. For passives, you have an item that increases sight range. And one item that Dota never had that I really thought it should have was an ability that increases sight range. Because there have been countless times where you're chasing someone, for example in the forest, and you're almost killed them. You just need to get one spell, but you can't just because of sight. So I want to give players the options to increase their sight range. There's also an ability as an item that increases life regeneration for mechanical units. There's an item that gives shields to a Terran unit, just like Protoss shields. And for the spell items, we have Defense Matrix, which was a StarCraft 1 ability. You have Lockdown, which is also a StarCraft 1 ability that stuns the target unit for a short period of time. And you have Seeker Missile. Okay, so for Protoss items, there's Energy Crystal, and this is a lot like Medpack, but it restores energy instead of life. You can also purchase an Observer, and this is the detection item of the Protoss. So remember to buy these if you're against a team with lots of invisible units. And the third consumable item is called Obelisk, and what this does is it basically creates an obelisk at the target location. And the obelisk was StarCraft. It was in the beta, but they removed it, which is a bit of a shame. So In this game, the obelisk is basically a shield battery. So, for example, if one of my units takes damage, it will automatically heal that unit's shields. But it's a shield battery with a bit of a twist. The obelisk can actually teleport to any location on the map. So if, for example, you have a team fight and you create an obelisk to help you in team fight, and you're like, oh no, now the obelisk is useless because it's in the middle of nowhere, we can always just teleport the obelisk to a new useful location. So I'm just going to teleport it. And the teleport does have a bit of a cooldown, but hopefully the teleport should prevent the obelisk from being useless if you use them and they're in a not very good location. For the passive items, there's an item that increases movement speed. There's an item that increases energy and energy regeneration. In this game, your energy regeneration is actually proportional to your maximum energy. So if you have a unit with like 300 energy, it will regenerate energy at 3 times the rate of a unit with 100 energy. And you can also purchase hardened shields, and this just makes it so that if your hero has shields and your hero is damaged, it takes damage, then your hero will take less damage. I think they're going to make it so that this item isn't as useful when used with the Archon hero, just because the Archon hero has much more shields than all the other heroes. And for the spell items for the Protoss, there's an item that allows you to replenish the shields of allied units. There's a spell item that steals the life from an enemy unit. It's sort of like life drain. And there's also a really cool spell item called Energy Nova. And what it does is, if the unit uses Energy Nova, it creates this Energy Nova. There we go. And it will deal damage to units in an area. So I highly recommend that item for caster heroes who have too much energy and not enough spells. Like you might find it useful for the High Templar, for example. And finally, for Zerg items, Zerg definitely have the most interesting items out of all the races, I have to admit. So for the Zerg, we have Creep Tumor. And Creep Tumor is a consumable item that creates a Creep Tumor. You can create it anywhere on the map. It doesn't have to necessarily be on Creep. And it creates a permanent patch of Creep. And of course, everyone in your team benefits from this Creep. So you get additional movement speed and life regeneration. So it could be really useful to place Creep Tumors along the map. You can also purchase Overseers, and Overseers are the detection item of the Zerg. They provide detection, but unlike Observers, they're not invisible, so they're a bit weaker, but they're also cheaper. And one of my favorite items is the Nidus Canal. And what this does is it allows players to create Nidus Canals. So here you have a Nidus Canal. But the really cool thing about the Nidus Canal is I made it so that your entire team shares a Nidus network. So if I create a Nidus Canal and my opponent, someone on my team creates a Nidus Canal, we can all share the same Nidus Canal. So I can jump into one Nidus Canal and come out the other. And it can be extremely useful. One more thing, if for example, if your hero is in the Nidus Canal and all Nidus Canals die, don't worry, don't think, oh no, now my hero is trapped in the Nidus network and I can't get out. I made it so that you can exit the Nidus Canal from your team's beacon, but you can't enter. But it just makes it so that no player has their heroes trapped forever, because that would definitely suck. And another really cool item is the borrow item. And I made it so that every single hero of the Zerg can borrow. So for example, this Defiler hero can borrow. There we go. And like the Overlord hero can borrow. and they can all burrow. Hopefully that's a really useful item. I made it quite cheap, so I want to see how players exploit the ability to burrow. And in some cases, some heroes can burrow without the burrow items, such as the Infestor or the Roach. But those are like exceptions to the rule. So generally, if you want to burrow, you should get the burrow item. There's also a passive ability that increases life regeneration. There's a passive ability that increases maximum life. Sorry, I might sound that again. So, and for the spell items, we have Frenzy. And what Frenzy does is allows you to frenzy a target unit. And then the unit gains additional damage for a short period of time. I highly recommend this item for heroes like the Ultra's hero, because they can really take advantage of all of the additional damage. We also have the Scourge item, and I recommend this item for heroes that cannot attack air, because it allows you to create a pair of Scourge, and Scourge can attack air. I actually gave the Scourge the StarCraft Brood War sounds, because unfortunately they didn't add Scourge sounds in StarCraft 2 yet. And the final item for the Zerg is called Razor Swarm. And this is definitely the most powerful spell item that the Zerg have. And it allows you to create an area of an area of like Razor Swarm stuff, and that deals damage to units in that area. So it's a really good AoE spell ability. Okay, so that's it for items. I do realize that there aren't that many items, so I'll probably be adding a lot of items in version 1.2. However, I'm not quite sure what to add. For example, if I should just add, additional shops for each race, or if I should maybe create a neutral shop that all races can access, or if I should make, for example, a shop that can give you mercenaries. So I'd really appreciate suggestions on what I should do with items. But I will not get an item combining system like Dota, because I think that just overcomplicates everything and makes the game more difficult to learn. Alright, so I want to thank anyone who watched this video. Please give me feedback. Positive or negative, I always appreciate it because it helps me improve the game. And I'll try to, and just a reminder that I'm going to release Hero Attack version 1.1 on the weekend. I'll try to fit as much in as I can. And thanks for watching.